make sure I'm plugged in. Should have done that before I went on. But it's so late. Here we are, almost 1 o'clock. We are burning the midnight oil, and it can't be helped. And sometimes I'm so exhausted, but there's no time to sleep. There's just no time to sleep. We have to move forward. There's so much at stake here. And so here we are at day 1,964 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room, taken to the arms room, and they took his life. They took his life, and they stole his body, and um, they mistreated his body, and they took him over to. They trafficked him to Mexico, and all the evidence now. I mean, that all of that is confirmed. Okay, that's all confirmed. Um, with all of our evidence that we have, I have no problems saying that on live air. So you know that after 5.5 years of investigating, we have a robust amount of evidence, right? A robust, I had a good friend. She goes, "Oh my gosh, you have a robust amount of evidence." Yeah, exactly. Um, and all the evidence now is pointing to that his partial remains ended up at the Plenitude Crematorium, which the owners are the Arellano Quran, the Rosa Maria Purchase Arellano Quran. And their properties, they have a lot of properties and businesses in El Paso. And right next to Beto O'Rourke, right next to Beto O'Rourke. And they seem to be somebody because Ricardo Samaniego took Rafael Arellano Quran, fine dining. And of course, with the knowledge of Connell Wetton. Connell Wetton is the assistant special agent in charge there in the FBI office at El Paso. And so, what does this tell you? It tells you that the cartel has infiltrated into our government seats, right? Our government seats in the FBI, as the county judge, as magistrate judges, as the medical examiner, as the district attorney, as the attorney general for the Western District, as in the federal courthouse. I mean, they covered up that the Mayellas were in the federal courthouse, in the DA's office, in the FBI office, in Walmart cybersecurity, and they're the Walmart shooter's family, right? And they just covered it up in the um, accounting, right? In the accounting business, in the mental health business, and they covered it up. So, um, all of these connections. And the one that is just so disturbing is Martha Mendez Aguilar, the she devil. That's connected to the Plenitude Crematorium. That's absolutely connected to um, the governor of Chihuahua, Maru Campos, who was targeting young girls. This was a network, crisis pregnancy, and targeting young girls, young females that were pregnant, and performing illegal C-sections, using 16, 17-year-old barely trained individuals to perform the C-sections. You heard me right. And if the baby survived, if the baby wasn't too damaged, um, God help us, right? God help us. Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy. They would then take the baby and try to adopt it out to the homosexual community in the United States. And then they would proceed to harvest organs, and then with the shell of the body to dump the shell in places like Plenitude Crematorium, and of course, cash in on that by um, filing for humanitarian aid of an unidentified migrant. And then during COVID, it got even more money. So, that whole cartel. Oh, it's in Juarez. It's not in El Paso. It's not true. It's absolutely in the United States. And President Trump is the first president to really address it and really take heat because they've been allowed under the previous administrations. And I would say, even through, I'll just say, under the previous administrations, to thrive, to absolutely thrive. And, there's a line that I read uh, days ago that has just repeated in my thoughts, and that is from Charles Dickens in A Christmas Carol, um, where he wrote, "The dark is cheap," and Scrooge liked it. And Scrooge liked it. The dark is cheap, and Scrooge liked it. Um, this is the thing, you know. Uh, Staying in the dark is cheap. It's cheap, and I think we need to get brave, and we need to have our redemption, our come to Jesus moment, and stand up against the darkness. And it will cost us something. It will. I know it costs us sleep, right? I know it costs us sleep, so it does cost us something. Um, so let's get started. And I want to talk about Charlie Kirk tonight. There's an ongoing investigation into him, and it seems to be a very um, grassroots grassroots investigation. And why do I want to talk about Charlie Kirk when Richard's case is so huge? It is so huge, and I really believe that one day, because of the stand that he took, that there should be a big statue of Richard. I really do. And I know that there's a marquee already of Richard in Juarez. But I really do believe that there should be a big statue for him, because honoring him because of the stand that he took, and not being compromised, because this is the dirty trick. This is the very dirty trick that uh, the traffickers that are infiltrated in our system as generals, as the chain of command, as the director of emergency services, as the FBI, as the CID. They play a very, very dirty game. As the DA, as the judges, as don't forget the county clerk, right? The clerk that does the death certificate, all those death certificates from Plenitude Crematorium, over 400 of them. And there were so many more. There were so many more. That's just what we caught, right? All of them have been tampered with. This is tampering with civilization, right? There's no civilization if you can't have trustworthy death certificates. So this is, all of them were tampered with, and misused. So what does Charlie Kirk have to do with Richard's case, when Richard's investigation is so big? And of late, there's a new theory. There's lots of theories about how Charlie Kirk was killed. It was right in front of our eyes, right? And we can't figure it out. And it was right in front of our eyes. But um, we know that Taylor, Tyler Robinson, Tyler Robinson, um, there's a lot of unanswered questions with that, right? And with all of those unanswered questions, the impossibilities, that that whole scenario raises. Um, it seems that the narrative, those that drive the narrative, want to drive us into silence about asking questions about Tyler Robinson and Tyler Robinson's furry boyfriend, who is a Twiggs, right? Is a Jerry Twiggs son or grandson, right? Who is, right there, the peer of Woody Hunt, right? Of Woody Hunt. So, um, the coincidences just in that is raised a lot of red flags for us. And I said, oh my gosh, they're connected, because just in that they're connected, just through the Mormon faction line. That connection is it connects the two cases, um, because they absolutely know each other. You can't be, well, maybe they don't, but they know of each other. Now they absolutely know of each other. Um, but, these are young men, Twigs and Tyler Robinson, that have done, have been very privileged. Let's just say that. And so there's a lot of questions about him being on the roof for that's the first question. How could that happen when you're paying so much money for security, right? You have to look at the roofs. It's the same thing with the attempt on President Trump. Why didn't they place someone on the roof? They have to place someone on the roof. And especially right there, it's just crazy to think that they didn't do that. And especially after the attempt on President Trump, you would think that the security would be on the roof. Um, so, and then to build the weapon on the roof, to change clothes on the roof, to take it apart on the roof, um, you know, all of that, why it was in the woods, everything, there's just so many things that don't add up, that don't make sense, that caused a lot of the questions, right? If everything was par, if everything was, the timing was right and everything made sense, there wouldn't be so many questions, right? But nothing makes sense. And so that's why there's so many questions. And then when you're somebody like Candace Owens, who has a history with TPUSA, has a history with the staff, right? Has a history, a close history with Charlie Kirk, right? Then she has sources and um, easily can ask those questions and get answers that raise more questions, right? That raise questions about the what's going on in Utah. Like, what is going on in Utah that they're not looking into? It just seems like with Tyler Robinson that there has been some kind of prior arrangement made, because he doesn't seem worried at all. He doesn't seem horrified at all. Um, and it is very, very horrifying when you destroy children's father, right? When you destroy somebody's husband. And the way that Erica Kirk is responding to all of this doesn't make sense either. And she's getting some really, really bad press because of it. She's losing a lot of trust, and she's like the CEO of TPUSA, and she's losing a lot of credibility. So it's not good for TPUSA. It's not good for the conservative movement. And so a lot of conservatives will stay very quiet, or they will attack those that want to ask questions, that want to um, get the answers about what happened to Charlie. And so that's where you see this uh, this war going on, this battle going on, um, because some are protecting the conservative movement, protecting the fallout for MAGA, because something was very, and I don't even see it as MAGA. I see it as an infiltration into TPUSA. And I know how these people act because we've been investigating it for over 5 years in our own son's case, and we see how they infiltrate to bully, to harass. And we know through Candace Owens' reports that Charlie Kirk was absolutely being bombarded with attacks and harassment, probably threats. We've heard he was, feared for his life. So this, it's no, uh, we totally understand that there is a mutiny going on, a mutiny in TPUSA, a mutiny in the Republican Party, a mutiny in our government system. And maybe mutiny is not the right word. Maybe it's a Trojan horse, right? A Trojan horse that was unleashed of enemy actors. I think maybe that's a better way to say this, because absolutely there are enemy actors, and we know it, right? And we just reported on it, 48 enemy actors, um, that, are, some are not shocking at all to us, but some are. And, that doesn't even include all the Congress and all the that just included the Senate and all the governors. And governors are very, very powerful in the world, right? They're very powerful. And so, who's taking cartel money? Who are the narco politicians? Because there's a lot of them, y'all. Because the dark is cheap, and they like it. They like it. And they make money off of the dark. And so they like it. And this is the problem, right? This is the big problem. So with Charlie Kirk's new, there's lots of questions, and so there's a lot of theories. And I have been watching closely. We have been watching closely the theories. And the latest one, I don't want to go into all of them. I'm sure a lot of you have been watching them. They have millions of views. So people are very interested in getting answers, right? When you have millions of views, when, Charlie Kirk's uh, investigation is and accountability and all of that, when people are just so attuned and want to know, then you know that the answers have not been sufficient, right? The answers that they give you in the narrative are not sufficient because people are very interested in hearing what Candace Owen has to say, and in many others, many others. Um, and so the latest theory is that Charlie Kirk was electrified, right? That this was electrocution. And that's why his hands looked so funny at the funeral, right? That his hands were like mannequins, that they weren't really real, or they were very heavily sponged with makeup, okay? Uh, it, they looked strange. This is not me saying it. This is what's all over the internet. I'm just reporting it. What I am going to talk about is that because of this electrocution theory, they talked about the sound system and the person at the helm of the sound system that was always there at the sound system at the 1 minute mark, at the 2 minute mark, at the 3 minute mark, at the 4 minute mark, at the 5 minute mark, at the 6 minute mark, at the 7 minute mark, at the 8 minute mark, and on. That for all that time, this one person was really tampering with the sound, or tampering with the sound device. And there was feedback. There was some anomalies, and that people that know about radio, that know about sound, that know about these sound systems, were just like, "What's going on here?" And the signals to um, that they're saying happened between the individuals, that there were clearly signals. I don't know if they were signals. Okay, this is what the theory is out there, that they coordinated the shot with the electrocution of Charlie Kirk, and um, that's what happened to him. And you can go and look, but look and listen and all of that. I don't have all the details memorized, but it is, electrocution. That's what they're saying in this new theory. But the name that they kept saying over and over and over again for a person that was suspected as participating in this targeting of Charlie Kirk with the, electrocution. Um, his name is Farnsworth, and I won't say his first name, but I'll say his last name because it's very important. Farnsworth. That's not that common of a name, but in 2022 we received a lead with Farnsworth, right? About a Farnsworth, and this truck, right, that did not have any outside handles, and that was like one of those really human trafficking type of vehicles, right? Um, so a truck, I mean, it was custom, and this is what we were told, that it had to do with Richard's case, investigation, or and here it is with the word Farnsworth. And so when we heard this with the new theory with Charlie Kirk, a lot of red flags went up, because Farnsworth, okay, let me check into Farnsworth. Well, this individual is kind of hard to find, right? I think he's protecting himself through all of this, and I don't blame him one bit. But I did find some very key information on him, and when I looked it up, it led to the name Hart. Well, it led to another Farnsworth, that led to Hart, that led to White, that led to Garrett, that led to Neff and Garrett. Um, and I'm like, oh my gosh, because Neff is another name that's in the TPUSA as a leadership role. And so to have this Farnsworth lead to these same names that are in Richard's investigation, right? It's just eerie. It's just very, very eerie. So you got the Farnsworth, of course, you have the Hart, then you have the White, then you have the Garrett, right? And yeah, by the end of this, they'll all be, all the names will be there, because this is just um, getting so comprehensive, right? But uh, so Farnsworth, tell me, what are the odds of Farnsworth leading to Hart, leading to White, leading to Neff, leading to Garrett, and that Hart and White and Garrett are key people, key names in Richard's investigation. The odds of that, I think, are very, very slim. And so there seems to be, I think so. I think so. I don't know if I'm right, but I think that this is connected, right? This is connected. And right now, they're pulling out all stops to try to win the people back, right? To have, um, yeah, they want to win the people back. So I guess they want the tax money, right? Uh, So this is how it's all connected, and what are the chances of that? It seems very, very slim, very slim. So it seems to me another indication that these two cases are very, very connected, and um, and I know they are. I know that they're connected, and I know that it's all about silencing those that make great strides forward, right? Silencing those that um, will be brave enough to step forward. So I hope that doesn't deter anyone. I know that that sounds so, oh my gosh, but we need to overwhelm them with accountability. We need to overwhelm them with prosecution. They need to be stopped. They really need to be stopped because they're just, trust me, they are just up to no good. Up to no good. And all you have to do is read uh, Leilani Hart's confession that is posted, and you understand that they are under no good, that they are up to no good. So, if you have any questions, there's so much to, uh, yeah, thank you so much. The whole thing with Plenitude Crematorium and Rosa Maria Arellano Caron, the whole situation with La Diabla and all that is not over with, y'all. We are absolutely filing. It's just beginning. Okay, it's just beginning. So we're in these vicious last 10 yards, right, to get our son's remains, and I think it's going pretty well. I don't think it's going well for Leilani Hart. Not at all, right? Not one bit. Um, so I just want to say this for us, for Richard, for accountability. I think it's going um, not 100% yet, but we are absolutely driving them to do the right thing. So thank you so much, everyone, which is giving us back our son's remains, right? That would go a long way. So thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow.